Okay, it's time to review it. Let's focus on the good parts that I enjoyed of this TV show before we focus on, other stuff that we did not like. The good parts was I really enjoyed the cinematography. The cinematography and like the VFX was possibly the best I've ever seen of like a superhero, like of a Disney show, So I think they spent a lot of time making the effects and cinematography, and it really shows. It makes it so cool. I like the Minotaur was sick. The way that like monsters were shown, like that rhinoceros in the beginning of the show, was super sick, and like every shot was very clean and top notch. That's what I'll give it to. That's what I will say is really freaking amazing. I did like that they included blue food, which the movies did not. Which is it's a very cool thing that they added on. They did manage to do some of the little things like blue food. And I did enjoy that they included like blue food. It focused on little things. The jelly beans and like at the start of the movie. So I think that's pretty cool. And like the cookies. I think did she hand him cookies when he came home? I don't. But that is pretty cool. From the battle scenes, what little we saw, like when Nancy got pushed in the water, that the water actually came alive and grabbed her. I mean, but the thing is, they did it so fast, which I'll come back. I'll talk about the bad later. But like the Minotaur fight scene was pretty cool, animated. Basically, the only great thing about this was how animated it was, and I mean VFX and cinematography was there. It was those were the pretty cool things. Okay. Now let's talk about what I didn't like, and I really did not want to do this. But like, trust me when I say this, because I grew up on this book, and I really wanted the adaptation to do well. And I get that this is for like 12-year-old kids and like 9-year-old kids, so I guess like it's not meant for people who's read. It's not meant for like 20-year-old people. I'm nearly 20 years old. It's not meant for me, so I get this is what they're going for. And I get that's why they did Gabe the way they did, because Disney always waters down, like, abuse and all, like, thing, because it's a kid's show. They want to, like, have, like, a clean image and stuff like that. But what I think they fail to understand is, like, I read this as a kid, and as a kid understood how brave and like how awesome Sally Jackson was, because she put up with an abusive guy like that, all to protect her kid. Like it made me sympathize with Sally Jackson, and it also made me thought how, like, if you want to like empower, like show like this empowerful like women and stuff like that, I don't get what is more powerful than that she did everything she could to protect her child, to make sure he could live a normal life. And when Percy was gone, she zapped him with the Medusa head. Like, what is more powerful than that? She literally like, to see Gabe go from a guy who's a abusive guy to someone who's just a tool, but like it looks like they kind of even like each other when Gabe says, "I don't want to watch the Knicks," and Sally says, "I don't want to either." Like, they want to watch it together. Like it makes no sense. It doesn't even feel like she's hiding the abuse. It just feels like a normal relationship. Like, even if they later on like Percy narrates that he was abusive, like it's still like with the scenes we got with Gabe, it doesn't feel like that, because like the way she was talking to him, like if she was getting abused, there was like zero fear, zero bravery, zero anything. So you don't really feel. And is it a kid's show where they wouldn't portray something so well that she was hiding it so well from Percy that it looked normal, but it really wasn't inside? That's more for like a teen to adult. Kids would never understand that. So then like So like you can't have it both ways. And if Disney's gonna do all this watering down for just the Gabe one, I can't imagine what they'll do for other series. Will they? I doubt. Like if this was of like just like showing that Percy's scared of Gabe or something is too much, then the beheading of Medusa, will they behead Medusa? Or I don't think they'll show the beheading of Medusa. Will Medusa? I've seen like rumors that Medusa's might change the storyline where Medusa stays alive. That's just changing the whole book. Like if Medusa's head doesn't cut off, you don't see Percy where he sends it to Olympus. Or Sally doesn't use it to make Gabe into a statue. And even then, like since Gabe is just like a lazy tool, basically, it is a super harsh punishment to make him into a statue just because he's a tool, you know? It's already changed so much with just how they changed Gabe that it's not book accurate. And I remember people were saying like the cast may change, but at least it's book accurate. Well, if the cast has changed and it's not book accurate, then what are we doing here, man? Come on, guys. Like so far I'm liking the cast. And the third complaint I have with this is the dialogue. So it doesn't match the book. Like at least like the big thing that has hit me just now while reviewing this is the two big scenes that I think they completely messed up is when Sally's telling Percy all about him being a half-blood. In the book, she doesn't tell him that he's a half-blood. She just like basically like she's tried not to give up information, but she's slipping up. But she does not tell him that he's a half-blood. She does not tell him anything, and then she just says that she's sending him away to a summer camp. But then Grover shows up, and then they race to the camp, and then she still doesn't tell him that he's a half-blood. But she tells them other bits and other things. I think that's perfectly done, like being subtle about it, not exactly telling the audience about it, but like leaving them guessing, like what is he? And so when he gets to Camp Half-Blood, he learns about who he is, that gods are real, and he's a half-blood. But the way they did it, they basically just said everything, that he's a half-blood, that his father's a god, that it's a Greek god, that it's just the exposition was first of all, it was so long, like it didn't need it to be. It was better when like he was in the camp and he was getting told by Chiron about all these things, you know. Chiron and all these things, and instead it's been told by his mother, which, you know, it also makes no sense because that she told him, because he's been kicked out of school before. At least I think we don't even know if he's a troubled kid in this TV show because it just looks like he was a loner, but instead of like a guy who'd be kicked out. But I mean, why on earth would she tell him now after like 12 years of never telling him that his father was a Greek god? Why would she tell him now, you know? It makes no sense. And I think it just makes a little no sense. I get it, he's going to the summer camp. He was scheduled to go to the summer camp the other day, so I guess she thought she should tell him. Okay, it makes sense, but I still think it would have been way better if it was subtle if it was subtle and it wasn't just told to you, like it just made it so slow, and that's what just made it so off to me. Like it just changed up the flow and made it just feel off, which for me I think is a big deal, but it might not be. Let me know in the comments if you think that I'm being completely idiotic. Move on to the second dialogue that was interesting to say the least is when running away from the Minotaur scene was terrible in my opinion, and the Minotaur scene was like a huge chunk of Lightning Thief. I think it was one of the most important battles, and they kind of slowed it down, fast paced it up, you know, like once like got rid of the Minotaur. In the book, what has happened is they're running away with the car in the car from the Minotaur, but then the Minotaur hits the car down, and then they barely have time. They are sprinting to the barrier, and they barely have time to say their goodbyes before the Minotaur comes and pretend kill Sally, you know? But in this one, they have like 20 seconds. I mean, the Minotaur is long gone for like a good while, and then they run to the barrier, and then they stop for the barrier, and then like they spend like 5 minutes saying goodbye, you know? In that 5 minutes, like, and they all knew that the Minotaur was, well, at least Sally knew that the Minotaur was coming, because at the end she was like, I'll help distract it. So she knew that the Minotaur was coming, but she spent 5 minutes like talking, making a whole a scene when they could. She could have done it in 1 minute, in my opinion. But also, she knew she was in danger, and then so that was one problem with this dialogue, is it took way too long. Also, like, it took way too long, to the point was like, is the Minotaur not even coming? Like, where's the Minotaur? And like, is there even an urgency anymore? And you don't realize that there is an urgency until she says, give me your jacket. I will distract the Minotaur away from you, you know? And I will lure the Minotaur away from you. Which, by the way, which brings me to my other problem with that dialogue, is that she says that it will distract the Minotaur away from you, but he's in the barrier. He's in the boundary line, so he could have reached the boundary line before the Minotaur even attacked him, so there was no need for her to say that line, because the boundary will protect him. Dahlia's barrier is strong. It's not Sea of Monsters Dahlia's tree got, and so the barrier was weak. The barrier is strong, you know, so it would have protected him from the Minotaur, so there's no need for this whole dialogue of, give me your jackets, I'll distract him, you know, instead of her just running. In fact, if she took 1 minute instead of like 5 minutes of talking, which she could have just said, Percy, you're singular, you're not broken, but I will, you'll be safe in this camp, trust me. And then to Grover, swear to me you protect my son, and swear at Grover. She could have done that. And which also, why didn't Grover swear on the River Styx? Like, if we're gonna be book accurate, every time they swear by the River Styx, you know? The swear, if they don't swear by River Styx, they don't actually mean. They don't. It's not actually a real vow, you know, in Greek. So that's not book accurate, unless I swear he's actually binding himself to River Styx, and we don't know. I don't know. I think that's just dumb. Like, come on. If we're gonna talk about the blue cookies, we gotta do the swear by the River Styx, you know? She could have said all those things, and she would have had time to run, which is why I think they were just like trying to make it more emotional than it could be, when instead they could have made it like you could see the Minotaur running at her, like from like a mile away. You could see the figure getting closer. As they're running, she does her speech, and then she gets stopped by the barrier, and says, Percy, I love you. Go protect her. And then as the Minotaur grabs her, and then Percy screams, and then Percy decides to go. And yeah, I think that would have been 100 times better. And I don't think you can say that I'm wrong about that. Like 1,000,000 times better. And then I would have been fine with the speech, with this dialogue, if the battle was just as long as that speech, where the Minotaur fight was good. I really liked it. It's not like the Mrs. Dodd's battle where it was just one. He was actually fighting, so it was a pretty cool scene. But it wasn't that long. It just sped that Minotaur scene up really, really fast. And like, I have no complaints on the Minotaur. It's just I wish it was a little bit faster. But other than that, it was pretty good. And then the last complaint I will have is that the fact that when he was waking up, he saw freaking Chiron. That's also changed in the book, so that's my complaints about the show. My two complaints are the pacing and it's not being book accurate. So, like the fact that they changed so much of these characters, and then but people were saying like at least it'll be book accurate, but it's not book accurate. I mean, I wasn't even really that mad about the character changes, but if we're getting an adaptation that is not really, I mean, that is kind of true to the book. It's a little bit more true to the book than the movies, but it's still not a true adaptation. And so at least, at least it should have had like the same appearance as the book, what the book has, with like Annabeth having blonde hair and gray eyes, and Percy having black hair and blue sea green eyes, because like no matter what anyone says, you always see the appearance first to judge a character, and then the personality comes. It's always second to the appearance. I just hope there's another adaptation with it. Honestly, I think if you don't know the book, this would be a perfect. This is a great series. Like if you don't know the book, you would love this. It has great cinematic. It's got monsters. It's one of the first shows out of Disney that it doesn't have terrible VFX. So it will do well. But I mean, like everyone was saying that the movies, at least the first movie, was good if you don't know the book. So like we're doing the same argument to this, where if you don't know the books, you will like this TV show. So I mean, we're doing the same thing. There's never gonna be a true adaptation. It's just gonna be, and like I know people defend this, and it possibly will do well. I'm just a little disappointed, but we shall see. I'll watch the second episode. Maybe the first episode is not good, but the second episode is the best thing ever, because we're getting the camp scenes and we're getting everything. I just hope at least they should fix the pacing issues. If they fix the pacing issues of the story, I know they only have 8 episodes to do it thing, which is why I'm annoyed. I'm super annoyed it's on Disney, because they should have either had hour-long episodes or like 20 episodes, or like double the amount of episodes than 8 episodes, 16 episodes, They should have had, I don't know why I don't know what is up with this, like 8 episodes. Like it's been happening for like a lot of adaptations and a lot of shows, and it just forces this fast-paced like storytelling. It just doesn't work. The best show that it works with is Cobra Kai, but that wasn't even an adaptation, so they could do however they want in 10 episodes. 2 main complaints I have is the pacing issues, the fading to black things that they keep on doing that you think is like a freaking like time skip, but it's possibly just like ad breaks, and dialogue, and like the changing of characters like Gabe. Those are the main issues. Like they've changed Gabe. I can only imagine how many times they've changed the story like to make it kid friendly and not an actual adaptation. But I like Percy. Percy's really amazing. Grover's really amazing. Chiron's amazing. Except Chiron should have also been like more like put together. I feel like he's the guy who wears suits and stuff like that, The monsters are amazing. Sally's amazing, but Sally's been alright. I don't say I hate her. It's just without the Gabe abusiveness, it just makes her into like ordinary, Like I really liked Sally Jackson. Sally Jackson used to be one of my favorite characters, because like it showed that she was a strong-willed a strong person, and like now she's just a girl who died, and no, a girl who died, and Percy's on his way to rescue his mom. She just becomes a Percy's mother, not like a person who's interesting, It's just she just has become Percy's mother. That's literally what this change has become. You know, that's literally what Gabe being a normal guy has become, and it's just sad. But other than that, the character's good. We shall see in episode 2. It's only episode 1, and I won't have this big compensation for every other episode. And yeah, I shall see you in the next one. Oh, yeah. If you disagree with anything I said, or if you agree with anything I said, or if you just want to say something about the show, leave a comment down below and I'll respond to it. And let me know if you want another reaction to this. I mean, if you like the show and you do, and you hate the way I reviewed it, I guess you don't. But also let me know if you just hate my view, and I understand. But I don't expect you to believe, but I did want this show to do super well. Like, I followed all the PGO Twitter pages when I first heard it was announced, and I was on it. Like, I reread. I was just hoping they would do good, but like, knew it was gonna go wrong when they changed the characters' appearances, and then said it doesn't change that it's gonna be book accurate. You know, if you change their appearances, then it's not book accurate. I don't know what to tell you, because the gray eyes and the sea green eyes are mentioned all throughout the book, and it's like a distinct feature that both of them have. You change that, then I knew that they were just going to change even more stuff, and Disney is going to butcher another live adaptation like they've done to many adaptations, you know. So it's good job, Disney. Leave your comments in the comment section if you disagree with me. Thanks, have a great day, and see you in the next one.